This is the story of Henry, whose whole life has only one purpose: to rob his favorite bank. At the start of the story, we see Henry working at a toll booth. He works all night. As soon as morning comes, his shift ends, so he goes home. There, we meet Henry's wife, Debbie, who is a nurse. Debbie's always worried about Henry because he doesn't give her much time, and she fears their relationship might break. Just then, someone knocks at the door. Henry opens it and finds his friend Eddie standing there, and with him another companion named Joe, who is feeling unwell and keeps vomiting. Henry asks them to come in. Eddie says they have a match today, but one man fell sick, so they're short of player. Eddie wants Henry to come with them. Henry agrees. They head toward the stadium. Two more men climb into the car and sit with them. As they approach the stadium, Eddie tells the driver to stop. The three put on masks and enter a bank. Once inside, a guard notices people going in. Henry, however, has no idea what's happening. He didn't see the three go into the bank. Suddenly, the three come running back out and flee, but the guard notices which car they used. He goes to the car and sees Henry inside. Henry had been wearing the same sort of t-shirt as the others, so the guard points a gun at him and has him arrested. During interrogation, Henry says nothing about his friends. Henry is charged with robbery and sentenced to 3 years in prison. In prison, Henry meets a man named Max, who is his cellmate. Max asked Henry why he's there. Henry replies, "The bank robbery." Next morning at breakfast, he says, Max tells Henry that most people in prison have big dreams, but took shortcuts to realize them. He asks Henry, "What's your dream?" Henry says he has no dream. 6 months pass this way. One day, Debbie comes to visit Henry and they talk for a long time. After a while, Henry realizes Debbie wants to tell him something, so he presses her. Debbie says she has found someone and wants to marry him. Henry replies that there's no shame in that. He's happy for her. "I've only ever caused you trouble. Marry him. I want you to be happy." Meanwhile, Max is telling the other inmates how many insults he received when he went for his parole hearing. Max behaves this way because he doesn't want to leave the prison. He has a life sentence. Still, every 6 months he gets a parole hearing and could go out if he chose. Max thinks there is nothing for him outside. This prison is his home. Henry tells Max that his own parole hearing is coming up. The other inmates tell Henry he will get parole because they all know he didn't commit the crime. One man tells Henry that the first rule for parole is never tell them you're innocent. Instead, say you committed the crime, express regret, and promise never to do it again. Then the officers will listen. Henry takes this to heart. At his next hearing, he follows that advice and gets parole. Henry goes to Debbie's house to collect his things and finds to his shock that Debbie's husband is none other than Joe, who was once Henry's friend. He also sees that Debbie is pregnant. Henry starts packing his things. Then Joe comes and says he started a new business and asks if Henry wants to work with him. Joe explains his scheme, but Henry doesn't understand and refuses. As Joe leaves, he thanks Henry, saying Henry didn't mention his name to anyone, so Joe was saved. Otherwise, he'd be in jail too. Henry leaves and stands outside the bank he was once arrested for. Watching it, suddenly, a car hits him and he falls to the ground. A girl gets out of the car, Julie, and starts scolding Henry for being on the road. Then, the same policeman who arrested Henry earlier arrives. He helps both of them up and takes them to a nearby cafe. Henry tells Julie he's okay. The policeman and Julie then leave. A little later, when Henry goes to the restroom, he sees a newspaper clipping on the wall about how the bank was robbed long ago. The clipping mentions that there is a tunnel under the bank. Henry notices the tunnel entrance starting from a nearby theater. Henry goes to the prison and tells Max, "I found my dream. I want to rob the very bank that put me in prison." Max asks how Henry plans to do that. Henry says he needs Max's help. Max's parole hearing is coming up, and Henry wants Max to behave exactly as Henry tells him, so Max will be granted parole and rejoin the plan. Max says he can't promise anything. Henry peeks into the theater and sees Julie acting. Her director keeps scolding her, and she gets upset, so she tells the director she's going out for coffee. Outside, she meets Henry and they go to the cafe. Max thanks Henry, saying if the roles had been reversed, Max might have filed an FIR against him. Henry is a good man. Meanwhile, Max goes to his parole hearing and does exactly what Henry taught him. So, Max is granted parole. Henry is thrilled. He comes to pick Max up and takes him straight to the cafe to show him a map.